Work on our CSS layout number 2. If we go to courses, VT 1400, click on CSS, and we click on our layout 2. Let's go ahead and grab the code. Copy that, put it inside of the text wrangler, paste that. Let's go ahead and save that now as layout2.html. Click on the desktop, save. Now let's look at what we're going to be building out right now. Well, it looks like I'm missing one of the images in that. So if we look for that, what are we missing image-wise? So left-image.jpg, anything else? Oh, hazy.jpg. So we're missing a few of the images. So if I go back to the layout 2, I can probably grab that image and that image. And then when I grab this back into the browser, it's just right. So we're all good to go. Alright, let's go through the code. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, again, the first thing we start out with this is our doc type HTML head. We're working on layout 2 and assignment 4. Style type equals text/CSS. What is that? That should be pretty familiar with you now. That's an internal style sheet. It starts there and our style sheet ends right there. So all of this is your internal style sheet. The body background is all A, so that's going to be a gray. Margin 0px, that's going to set all 4 margins to 0. And again, body is our selector, and we call that, as we look down in the code, that's going to be called right there. That's just our HTML tag for that. Next thing, number sign container. This is kind of the main container for the document. Its width is going to be 700 pixels, or px. And right here we've got kind of some comments. We've commented out a background color and a border color, so those won't actually show up. The next thing that'll show is padding 0px, and that'll set all 4 of our pads in terms of the top, right, bottom, and left to 0. Margin 0px auto sets the top and bottom margins to 0, and the left and right margins to auto, which really centers it. So if we come here and we resize our screen, that's what's causing that to center in the document. The padding of 0 and margins of 0 and the margin is 0 up here, those are getting rid of all those margins. Okay, let's go down to number sign link. So if we want to call the container number sign container, that's where the ID container is going to be called. So it looks like everything else is going to be nested within that overall container size, and it ends right there. So you go from that to that inside that container, and then this will nest inside and throughout. So it looks like we've got a content one that has multiple things happening as well. Let's go ahead and go back up to links. The number sign links, where are we going to be calling that? If we scroll down, div ID links, so it's this section right here. So this is what we're setting properties and values on. So let's come up here. The background is going to be blue. The minimum height of the links is going to be 35 pixels. The padding is going to be 0. So top and bottom are going to be 0, and left and right padding are going to be 15 pixels, and then the color is going to be white. Now the A tag, where is that? If we come down into our HTML code, anywhere we have an href, so anywhere we have that A tag, that's where we're setting properties and values now. So we come up to A, our color is going to be white, font size 17 pixels, line height. Again, that's how you kind of adjust the vertical alignment so that you can center it. Margin is going to be 0, 10. So the top and bottom margin are going to be 0, left and right are going to be 10. Text decoration, none. That gets rid of the underlining, and font weight is going to be bold. Number sign content. So anytime we have this is going to be what? It's going to be the ID equals content. So let's go look into our HTML code and look for ID equals content. So inside of this element, looks like we're going to stick an image, and we've got some inline styles that are overriding some of the others to pull that off. So we've got a content area, and then we have a left content and a right content that are nested in it. So if we come over here, left content, right content that are nesting within this element. So let's go back up and look at the content P. So that's going to be the paragraph tag. It's going to justify it. Now when you have margin 0px, 0px, 10px, 0px, what are you talking about? Well, this first one is the top margin. This would be the right. This would be the bottom, and this would be the left. So it sets the bottom margin to 10 and all the others to 0. So that's another way of defining how you want your margins in a single declaration. Left content, its width is going to be 200 px. It's going to float left. Remember, float left is going to take the elements and kind of put them next to each other from left to right. Margin top is going to be 15, and margin right is going to be 20 pixels. Now the right content, we're going to set the width to 400. So again, as we come down, we're looking at the left content, and that's set at a certain, and then the right content. So we're setting the right width to 400 pixels. It's floating left, so it floats from left to right, and then the top margin is 15 px. Most of the rest of the HTML in this should be familiar with you. This is an inline style that's setting the width of that image to 628 px with a border of 1 that's a solid color of, it looks like a blue color right there. Div ID content, H1, those are just our selectors, and then these are just list items throughout the rest of the page. Now here's something new that you probably haven't seen, is at the end of this you see a div style equals clear colon both semicolon. Now what that means is anytime you use that clear property and you set it to both, that means that you're going to have no floating elements allowed on either the left or the right side in that. So you're going to clear out those float elements on both sides, left and right. The rest, they're just closing out the other divs that we've got and closing out the body and the HTML. So that's layout number 2.